You've felt this before. That strange moment when time doesn't behave the way you expect it to. When something happens, and instead of moving forward, your mind loops backward, replaying, reinterpreting, almost rewriting what already happened. And you tell yourself time is simple, linear, clean, past behind you, future ahead. But if that were true, why does your past keep changing every time you remember it? Why does one decision from years ago still feel alive, as if it hasn't finished happening yet? There's something about time you've sensed, but never fully trusted. Something slightly unsettling. Because deep down, you already know this. Time doesn't move the way you think it does. And that same paradox, the one quietly shaping your thoughts, your regrets, your hopes, is the very thing that helped Richard Feynman change physics forever and win a Nobel Prize. But to understand it, you have to look at your own mind first, because this isn't just about physics, it's about how you experience reality itself. You like to believe that your life unfolds step by step, one moment leading to the next, cause then effect, choice then consequence. It feels safe that way, predictable. But think about this carefully. When you remember something painful, does it feel like it's in the past, or does it feel like it's happening again, right now? Your body tightens, your chest shifts, your thoughts become the same thoughts you had back then. In that moment, time collapses. The past is no longer behind you. It's inside you, alive, active, present. And this is where the paradox begins. Because if the past can feel present, and the future can shape your current emotions through anxiety or hope, then where exactly is now? You've been told your whole life that time flows in one direction, but your experience tells a different story. And this tension, this quiet contradiction between what you're told and what you feel, this is the same tension that fascinated Feynman. Feynman wasn't just solving equations. He was obsessed with understanding how reality actually behaves, not how it looks on the surface. And he noticed something deeply unsettling about time at the quantum level. Particles didn't behave like tiny objects moving neatly forward. They behaved strangely, unpredictably. Sometimes, mathematically, it looked like they were moving backward in time. Not metaphorically, not emotionally, literally. And instead of rejecting this idea, Feynman leaned into it. Because he understood something most people avoid. When reality feels paradoxical, it's not always wrong. Sometimes, your assumptions are. Now pause for a second. Because this isn't just physics anymore. This is you. You've spent years trying to make your life make sense in a straight line. If I do this, then that will happen. If I fix the past, I'll feel better now. If I control the present, I can guarantee the future. But your experience keeps breaking that logic. You try to move on, but the past pulls you back. You try to stay present, but the future keeps intruding. It feels like something is wrong with you. But what if nothing is wrong with you? What if you're simply experiencing time more honestly than you've been taught to understand it? Feynman proposed something radical. Instead of imagining particles moving only forward in time, he described them as taking every possible path. Not just the obvious path, not just the logical one, every path, even the impossible ones, even the ones that loop backward. This idea became part of what we now call the path integral formulation, and it helped reshape quantum physics. But here's what matters for you. This means reality itself isn't a single clean story. It's a collection of possibilities, overlapping, interacting, influencing each other, just like your thoughts, just like your emotions, just like your memories. You don't experience your life as a single timeline. You experience it as layers. The version of you who made a mistake years ago still exists in your mind. The version of you who imagines a better future exists too. And your present self is constantly negotiating between them. That's why decisions feel heavy. That's why regret lingers. That's why hope can feel both powerful and fragile. You're not just moving forward, you're carrying multiple versions of time, all at once. This is where the paradox becomes personal, because you've been trying to fix your life as if it's a straight line. But your mind doesn't work that way, and forcing it to creates tension. You tell yourself, just let go of the past. But how do you let go of something that still feels present? You tell yourself, stop worrying about the future. But how do you ignore something that shapes your decisions right now? You see the problem? The advice you've been given assumes time is simple, but your experience proves it's not. Feynman didn't simplify reality to make it comfortable. He allowed it to be complex and then found a way to understand it anyway. And maybe that's what you need to do too. Not force your experience into a neat story, but accept that your mind moves through time in a richer, more layered way. Think about regret. It's not just remembering the past, it's reinterpreting it from your current perspective. Every time you revisit a memory, you're not just accessing it, you're changing it, subtly, emotionally, psychologically, which means your past is not fixed. It evolves with you. That's the paradox. The past shapes you, but you also reshape the past. And now think about anxiety. It feels like fear of something that hasn't happened yet, but your body reacts as if it already has. Your heart races, your thoughts spiral, the future becomes emotionally real before it physically exists. Again, time collapses. The future is no longer ahead of you, it's inside you. So you're caught between two illusions, a past that won't stay behind you, and a future that won't stay ahead of you, and somewhere in the middle, you're trying to find control. This is where most people struggle. They think control comes from organizing time, fixing the past, managing the present, predicting the future. But the more you try to control time, the more overwhelmed you feel. Because time isn't something you control, it's something you experience. And your experience is not linear, it's dynamic, emotional, interpretive, just like the quantum world Feynman studied. Here's the subtle shift that changes everything. Instead of asking, how do I fix my timeline? You start asking, how do I relate to my experience of time? Because that's where your power actually is. You can't go back and change what happened, but you can change how it lives inside you. You can't see the future, but you can change how you respond to uncertainty. And when you do that, something interesting happens. Time starts to feel less like a force acting on you, and more like something you move within. This is what Feynman understood at a deeper level. Reality isn't as rigid as it appears, and neither is your life. You've been carrying versions of yourself that no longer need to define you. Old decisions, old fears, old interpretations, and because they feel tied to time, they feel permanent. But they're not. They're just paths your mind keeps revisiting. And just like in Feynman's model, there are other paths available, paths you haven't fully explored yet, ways of seeing yourself that don't rely on the same old story. So, the real question isn't, what happened to me? It's, what meaning am I still giving to what happened? Because that meaning is what keeps the past alive. And the future? It's not something waiting for you. It's something you're already shaping. Through how you think, how you interpret, how you respond. Even now. Especially now. There's a quiet kind of freedom in realizing this. Not the loud, dramatic kind, but something more stable, more grounded. You stop trying to force time into a straight line, and you start understanding your experience as it is. Layered, fluid, alive. And here's the part most people miss. This doesn't make your life more confusing, it actually makes it clearer. Because instead of fighting your mind, you start working with it. When a memory comes back, you don't panic. You observe. You notice what it's trying to tell you. When anxiety shows up, you don't suppress it. You understand what future it's imagining, and why. You become less reactive and more aware. And that awareness, that's where real control comes from. Not controlling time, but understanding your relationship with it. So when you think about Feynman, Don't just see a physicist solving abstract problems. See someone who was willing to question something fundamental, something everyone else took for granted. Time. And maybe that's your invitation too. To question the way you've been thinking about your past, your future, yourself. Because the truth is, you're not stuck in time. You're interacting with it, shaping it, reinterpreting it, experiencing it in ways that are far more flexible than you've been led to believe. And once you see that, something shifts, regret softens, anxiety loosens, pressure fades. Not because your life suddenly becomes perfect, but because you're no longer trapped in a rigid story about it. You begin to trust yourself again, not as someone who has everything figured out, but as someone who can move through uncertainty without breaking. And maybe that's the real paradox. The moment you stop trying to control time is the moment you finally feel in control of your life. So the next time your mind drifts, backward into memory, forward into possibility, don't fight it, just notice. Because in that movement, you're not losing control. You're experiencing something deeply human, something deeply real. And maybe, just maybe, that quiet, confusing relationship you have with time isn't a flaw. It's a glimpse into something much deeper, something even the greatest minds spent their lives trying to understand.